What's up, beautiful people? Another day, another study. Flavonoids are molecules found in foods like dark chocolate, fruit, vegetables, nuts, legumes, and one of my personal favorites, green and black tea. Multiple subclasses of flavonoids exist, and different foods have different flavonoid profiles. And these different flavonoids have various biological effects. There's anti-inflammatory effects, antioxidant effects. There's effects on oxidative stress and blood lipids and blood sugar and all kinds of various biological effects. So previous studies have associated intake of the different flavonoid subclasses with lower risk of all-cause mortality, also cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes, cancer, respiratory diseases, and neurodegenerative diseases. But this study was looking at not only the diversity of total flavonoid intake, but also the quantity of total flavonoids and the risk of all-cause and then of certain chronic diseases. So it was a prospective cohort study. Data was pulled from the UK biobank. There was over 120,000 adults, and the follow-up longest period was just under 12 years. And the median flavonoid intake was about 800 milligrams a day from an average of 9.4 flavonoid types. And green tea and black tea were the major source of flavonols, about 67% of total intake in this study. When they compared the highest versus lowest diversity of flavonoid intake, and the difference between the two was about 6.7 more flavonoid types per day, there was a reduction in all-cause mortality by 14%, cardiovascular disease by 10%, diabetes by 20%, and total cancer and respiratory diseases for 8%. And then when they looked at quantity of intake, for total intake, those who had a 500 milligram per day intake of flavonoids compared to those with a 230 milligram per day saw a 16%, 9%, and 13% reduction in all-cause mortality, cardiovascular disease, and diabetes and respiratory diseases. And if you looked at 1.4 grams of total flavonol intake versus 230 milligrams, there was an 8% reduction in cancer and a 20% lower risk of neurodegenerative diseases. And these factors were independent. So it appears that both total flavonoid intake and the diversity of flavonoid intake matter. And this is why people say things like eat the rainbow, eat different colors of fruits and vegetables, eat multiple different types of fruits and vegetables and whole foods. So you're covering your bases here. And that's something I do in my daily life. I eat a lot of different foods that have different flavonoid types because it aligns with what my goals are.